The Spruce overhaul for the Miyoo A30 from 10 levels has taken on a life of its own. From his own protesting that he is not a developer, he's managed to put something really special together and rallied a bunch of devs to take it to the next 10 levels. Today I'll show you how to install it, whether it's worth all the hype, and give you a sneak peek of upcoming features, which has even more sprucing. And then while you're busy upgrading this, you might think to yourself, what if I make my own device? Well, you can look at PCB where they can help you develop the PCB for your next electronics project. They can help you with 3D printing, CNC work, all of the goodies you would need to make something like this. Well, not quite, but yes. And they also wanted me to tell you that they have a 10-year anniversary promotion, so there's all sorts of coupon codes and stuff that you can go check out. So now is the time to start your next project. So check out PCBware. Thanks so much for sponsoring this video. Back to the upgrade. So what you will need a computer, you will need interwebs, you will need a new SD card. This is the current SD card, the old SD card for the device. You'll need an SD card reader. You will need something to partition this card or to format this card to FAT32. I use Minitool Partition Wizard. I think on Mac you can just use the utilities feature. So the first thing you'll do, I'll put the link in my show notes on my website, is download the latest version from 10 levels. So I've got my laptop here and I'm going to take you through the steps. I've already done this a couple of times. So what we're going to do is go to, here's my little note thingy here. So this will be on my website. We go to 10 levels. I've already opened a tab there. And we're going to download. So just click on that and download, but I already have it on my computer. All right, so it's going to download, and then what you want to do is go to your downloads folder, and there is Spruce, and there you'll see Spruce 2.0, which we're going to have a look at just now. But that is the Spruce 1.3.5 that you want. Don't extract it. We are going to extract it directly onto the SD card. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your trusty, dusty, new SD card, pop it into your SD card reader, and then pop that into your computer. We will get a pop-up thingamy. What we're going to do is, you'll see this SD card is already set up. So I'm just going to take you through the motions of what I did to get it there. All right. So the first thing, so if you're on a Mac, you can just use utilities. I've just read that. Please check if it is correct because I am a Windows savage. And then Minitool Partition Wizard, say yes. All right. So if you have multiple partitions on this SD card, just delete them. You go right click and you say delete over there. And then you will go right click. Once you've got no partitions on the SD card. So just make sure it is the correct SD card. Mine is a 64 gigabytes, so 57.96 is the correct one. And you want to say create. And then over here, you say FAT32 and you say OK. So there you'll see it's got FAT32 and it's created a partition. And on the left-hand side, you'll see apply. Apply those changes and it will burn that FAT32 partition onto the SD card. I'm going to close that because that is not what I want because I've already done it. Let that go. It doesn't take too long for that to happen. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to extract our download onto the FAT32 card. So let's do that. So we're going to, just make a mental note now. What is the drive name of your FAT32 SD card? So just find it in your file browser, find that SD card, check what the drive number is, the letter. So mine is E. So yours won't have a label like mine does. So mine is E. We're going to look for E now. So now we go to our downloads folder over here too, and there's Spruce 1.3.5, and we say extract all. On Mac, I'm not sure how this will work, but it's very similar. And then for the destination for where the files must go, just say browse, find your, so mine I said was drive E, find your drive E, say select folder. So you'll see there it's selected drive E. And now when you say extract, it takes quite a while, but it'll extract everything from that zip folder all the way onto your new SD card. So say extract. I'm not going to do it now. You say extract, not me. You do it. And then it will extract everything on there. Wait for it. It takes a little while. And when that's done, we are going to eject the SD card from the laptop or the PC or the Mac, and we're going to pop it into our trusty, dusty Miyoo A30. So make sure your OG SD card is not in here. Pop it in, face upwards, and we power this bad boy on. So let's give it a little pushy poo. Little Spruce logo there. Yours will take a little longer because mine obviously is already installed, but what it's going to do is set that whole thingy up. So there we go. It's installed. Now what we want to do is put ROMs and BIOS on. So we are going to shut this bad boy down again. All right, so it's off. What I do is I just put the speaker next to my ear to hear when the little bit of hissing goes away, and then I know it's off for good. Then we take that SD card out. Put it in here. And then I need my OG SD card, the SD card that came with the A30. I need an adapter to get this in. All right, and we pop it into the SD card reader. All right, so we're going to put the OG SD card on the right. And then we're going to put the Spruce. Now yours will have a label. And we're going to put the Spruce on the left. Now we want to get our BIOS files. On the Spruce card, it's just a BIOS folder. You'll see I've already copied them all over. And then over here on the OG SD card, go to RetroArch. Make sure hidden files is enabled on your computer. Just Google how to do that. And then go into RetroArch and then go into System. Now, for some reason, I couldn't copy them all over in one go. It's a lot of files. Maybe it's something to do with the SD cards or what have you. So I just did it in batches. So like, for instance, I did like a page. I'll just shift and select, and then I just drag those over. I'm just going to say skip, because obviously all these are going to be here. I'll just say skip these files, and I'll move them over in batches. If you see any areas, just because I had a few files that had errors. If you see that, then just, don't copy those files over, but copy your BIOS files over slowly but surely and get them over. All right, so now we go back to the main part of Spruce and the main part of the OG SD card. And now we want to get some ROMs. So you can either, my ROMs are on my hard drive over there, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the ROMs from Miyoo. So we go here, ROMs. And let's just go with Gameboy. And you go GB for Gameboy, GB for Gameboy. Most of the folder extensions are the same, so you're not going to get very confused there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to select that. For some reason, the Game Boy Color folder is inside the Game Boy folder. It's probably got to do with the emulator. And then you just drag it over. So it's going to obviously say that it's all there. I'm just going to say skip these files. And then what I did was, see, there's the Game Boy Color. I just stayed in the Game Boy folder. Control A, just skip there. And drag those over, skip these files. What you'll notice is at the top here, there's a IMGS folder. Now, if you do use something like Scraper, S-K-R-A-P-E-R, if you use Scraper, that will allow you to get artwork. So you can use the Scraper thingy. There's lots of tutorials online on how to use Scraper. And then your destination folder on the new Spruce SD card is that IMGS folder. So just when you do it, make sure your destination folder is that folder, and then you can get your artwork. I'm not going to do that. I used to be a huge artwork nerd. I do like having artwork, but sometimes it's simpler just having text. I've moved my Android phone to like a very simple front end where it's just text, and it's quite good for your brain. So anyway, that's a long story to say I'm not going to do artwork. Pico 8 can run natively, but you need carts. So you can't download the carts yet. They're working on the Wi-Fi. It's a bit fiddly at the moment, but you can't download carts. So I still need to put carts in the ROMs folder. I did find some issues using the fake 08 emulator. So it might be nice just to use that native Pico 8 app. And I'm going to show you how to set that up now. So you need to first buy, and I recommend just buying this, because if you are emulating Pico 8's games, just buy the app. Like, it's Lex Lawful. You'll see it comes up there. And then you go here. And you go to your downloads. Once you've signed in, you've bought it and all of the things. And you will get the Raspberry Pi version. Now, I've already downloaded that, but you download the Raspberry Pi version. And then in your downloads folder, there we go. There's the Raspberry Pi folder. And then we go here. And here we go to App, Pico, and then Bin. And you'll see I've got, it's the Pico 8 underscore DYN and the Pico 8.dat file. So once you've got your Raspberry Pi goodie on your downloads, you can just grab the Pico 8 underscore dyn and the Pico.dat, drag that over to the folder on your SD card. That will then allow that native Pico 8 app to run. And it's quite cool to have Pico 8 running on here. Yes. But as I mentioned, you do need to run carts. So you just look up how to get Pico 8 carts, but you need to get those carts into the ROMs folder, the Pico 8 ROMs folder. There's a little bit of a workaround to get those carts working. All right, now we are ready to roll. So we are going to go and we're going to eject these cards. All right, there's my new SD card and we are going to pop that in there. Now again, this might take a little bit longer for you if it's just starting to load everything. What we're going to do is we're going to first go to apps and then we go to Miyoo Fresh. Now I tried to go into the games and try to refresh the ROMs there and it just didn't work. So just go to Miyoo Fresh, refreshing system. There we go. And there we go. There are all our games. So as you'll recall, I did enjoy, it's got the Spruce logo as it opens up, which I quite like. Let's go into themes. And I just want to show you. So this is the Spruce theme. And if you go in here, it's got matching icons. Now, the Miyoo firmware, if you change the theme, the icons stayed the same, which really sucked. They had the Onion OS theme, which felt great, but then the icons were all weird. They look like something from Transformers. There we go. Okay, we got themes. The other theme I quite liked was M, I think. Yes. So this will look very nice on the black and silver version. There we go. And then, okay, the icons are the same, but they fit the theme, if you know what I mean. The theme icons were very stylized between all the different themes. And this is the Miyoo one. Anyway, I do think the Spruce theme is the nicest once you get used to it. Okay, so they are constantly working on this. Just use that as a disclaimer now because I'm going to show you an issue I found that cool load logo there. How cool is that? You can see a theme designer made this. I don't know if you can hear that slowdown, but it is stuttering quite a lot. So I had to switch Mega Drive to the Pico Drive emulator. How you do that is you just press X in the system folder, change to Pico Drive, yes, and you see there you can also set your clock speed. Now what you'll see is I've been using Pico Drive and it does open where you left off. So that is a nice little thing. They've enabled that in RetroArch. See they're there at my last place I was playing at. How good does Streets of Rage look on the screen? Just in general, what a good... And then, oh, check out joystick. Bit of a joystick action on this game is very nice. And then, I don't know if I mentioned this in my review, but, you know, the D-pad is very mushy. But for games like this, where you just got to, mush around and move, whoa, such a cool game. Wow, okay. And then also the nice thing is it's got a system-wide menu. You can do your saves. And things like that. The D-pad is a little bit sensitive, so moving through menus is a bit weird. See there, I was testing this last night and it stops where you left off, I don't know if that makes sense. This is a very nice game, by the way. Batman, what's it called? Batman something or other for Gameboy. And I really like the filter they've used here. Very nice filter, gives it a nice Gameboy vibe. So things have been preset for you, which, that is a big deal. For me, anyway, I'm a big aesthetics guy. It's probably also why I like this more than other systems is because it just looks pretty. The system menu is a little bit slow. So there's a little bit of a delay when you press up and down and back and all that sort of thing. All right, so let's quickly show you that Pico 8. So you have to go into apps, go down to Pico 8. So they have loaded one cart in here. I haven't loaded carts. And you can go here. They've added Calicon. Look, obviously black bars on the side, but look how cool. The screen is really nice. And Pico 8, even though it's tiny, Looks really good on here. And then if you use the native thingy, the menu button does actually work in here. So there I can exit to console. That's very nice. There's a nice little touch, I must say. Whoops. Okay, so I had to reset it to get out of Pico 8, so I'm not sure what's happening there. Anyway, a nice experience for Pico 8. No issues with Game Boy Color. Okay, what I have noticed with NES is that there is a fair amount of aliasing. If you watch the buildings at the bottom there of Darkwing Duck, I don't know if you can see that, but that sort of shimmer, that sort of like shaking of the image, that's aliasing. I usually mistake screen tearing for aliasing in something like Adventure Island, where there's quite a lot of aliasing in Adventure Island, and that's normal. That was on the game in the original game. But Darkwing Duck, and I've tested this, I've tried a different emulator even, and it just seems to have that aliasing. So that's not the greatest, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. It might have something to do with the pixel ratios, maybe. So if you watch here now, it's a lot better. So what I did was I enabled integer scaling, and you're not losing a lot with integer scaling on the screen. There's only a tiny bezel. So that's what you want to do. And then you just save that override for this game or for this content directory. So what you do is you go in here and you go to RetroArch, go into RetroArch, press back, go to settings, go to video, and say scaling, and put integer. So integer scaling was off, just put it on. And then you go to your main menu, you go to your quick menu, and you go down to overrides. And just say save content directory override. And then all the NES games will be integer scaled, and that actually looks really nice on the screen, and it minimizes that aliasing. So there's a fix for that. And then the thing that started the drama with this is Russ from Retro Game Core noticed that it wasn't playing NES. And I can tell you that Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is working perfectly. The thing that I always use, okay, it's not doing the intro now because I'm picking up from where I left off. I've experienced no stutter whatsoever. If anything, this is now one of the best working emulators on the system, which is just crazy. It wasn't working, now it's working really well. So the useful shortcuts are start, and left and right is for brightness. So you just press the start button, left for dark, right for bright, and go to the brightest there. And then volume is left for low, right for high. Let's just open a game there. You can press and hold power to shut down, as I've shown already. When you're in a system menu, you can press X and change the settings, the performance settings for that system. So you can change the call and you can change the clock speed. You can press select to search. So anywhere in the system, if you're there or if you're in the main menu, press select and you can search. There's shortcut keys for space and backspace and all that kind of thing. And you just go in there and you type in your game. Start to say, okay. Super Mario Land, super blah, 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 all the supers. 10 Levels does note this. He says, if you are experiencing stick drift, so maybe there's a software issue, you can calibrate the joystick. You can go into joystick calibrate. And I like this Spruce boot logo. Nice little touch, I think. Okay, to upgrade, all you have to do is copy everything over, but you need to not replace the ROMs, the BIOS, and the saves folder. So you'd have to extract that is the download, the new download that you want to upload from. Then make sure that you don't drag over the ROMs, the saves, and the BIOS folders. So select everything except those three. Then drag everything over and say replace, and you should be good for an upgrade. Okay, so a quick review of the 1.4 features. So it's had quite a few updates. So in the interim of making this video, another update came up. So we're going to talk about version 1.4 now. So apparently he has this new feature where if you press and hold select for 2 seconds, this new menu comes up. Auto resume menu, start, save and shut down. B, return to main menu. So what you can do is when you're in a game, you press and hold select, you press start, the device will shut down. So this is a very GarlicOS feel. and then when you power it up, what should happen is it should just power up straight to that game. Now that is a feature that every developer, every manufacturer should be striving to have. This is the best quality of life feature on any device. That's why that is the reason why GarlicOS is the best retro emulation system out there, because it does this. And now Spruce, from a non-developer, has that feature. It just boggles my mind. So the other thing you can do is add RetroArch Expert Mode. What that will do is, in RetroArch, it will enable the normal RetroArch menu. Instead of that unified system menu that they've created, you can have the RetroArch menu. For a lot of nerds out there, that is something you want. So he has added that. Another thing is you can switch off recents. For some reason, some people want recent games that you've played off. I don't want it off. And so the more I play this, the more recents will pitch up in my menu. Another thing that he's done is fixed the Wi-Fi. So now we aren't going to have any issues. There were a bunch of glitches with the Wi-Fi, so we can start using Wi-Fi in the system. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was I quite like the M theme. So if we go to themes, it says there, run icon app fresh app. We go here and we run the icon refresh app. There we go. And now we've got our matching icons. Let's quickly check that new theme. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, I like that. All right, we're going to stick with that one for a while. And that's all I want to say about that. This guy is really putting some love into this. You know, he's trying to get the icons to match. There's all sorts of little things happening there. And so I'm excited about Spruce, and it's starting to look a lot like GarlicOS. So that's a good thing. That's a freaking good thing. Yep, so 10 levels if you are watching this. Thanks so much for this. This feels like the reason why it is successful. And he said to me on Discord that, you know, he's not a developer and, you know, he's just doing this for the love and all that kind of thing, which is true. I mean, and that's why the community has jumped on this, because you can feel the love in this little piece of firmware. And, you know, we all gripe and moan about the fact that they send these things off with terrible firmware. But the thing that makes this whole thing exciting is the fact that we have guys out there in the world who are happy to do this because it's just so fun and it's just completely done out of the love of retro gaming. So thank you, 10 levels, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.